And we are live. What it do, being crew? It's your boy Savon Thomas. We are back with another episode of Coffee and Friends, and we have the first live event for Coffee and Friends ever. This is history, right? So it should be pretty fun. I don't know who will join. We'll see if people join. People will add comments and we'll see. But excited to talk about season 7 and wrap up what is a fantastic show in the Gilmore Girls. So the final season, I definitely have a lot of thoughts as a first time viewer of this show. I'm excited to get to those and my thoughts on Luke and Lorelai. We'll talk about that. But we have our crew back that's been on every single season. So Amanda, Taiwo, and Michelle, Cup. So fun fact, I tried to do something special for this episode. I sent you guys a message, but I messaged some of the stars from the show, just to see if they responded. And nobody responded to me. I'm a little pissed. Like I'm like, at least somebody respond and say no, you know? Like I sent multiple messages. Like Luke, I thought at least Luke would respond because he's on Instagram pretty heavily. I followed them and everything, but so they pivoted from that to I saw Luke. I guess not really real life Luke, but the guy that plays Luke. He posted about they have a coffee specific for Gilmore Girls. Have you guys seen this?
No.
No.
So, but it's only available at Warner Brothers like locked. But you can
Mm.
buy it's like Scotty P's coffee or something like that. But you can go and buy Gilmore Girls coffee. Like it's branded Gilmore Girls, everything like that. And I was hoping he'd sell it on his website, but it's only on the Warner Brothers freaking line. I was gonna get y'all some
Wow.
for participating in all 7 seasons, but it's only available in California. And I was pissed. I was like, okay, don't have a person here from the show. Can't get them coffee, you know. So I'll get you guys something for being a part. But how is everybody? Like, how's everybody been since the last time we connected? Who wants to kind of give an update? Since I think it was what March, February, where our last stream was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody do
Um,
anything fun?
no.
That's so real.
No.
Just been
So
hanging
I'm
out. Everybody just been hanging out, huh? Well, then
yeah,
y'all went skydiving.
We
Taiwo and
did.
Amanda.
we
Yes,
did.
we did.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I feel like that was like
I feel like that was a long time ago too. Yeah.
Maybe it was. I saw somebody posted their thing on Instagram. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. I'm too terrified.
Yes.
so
We
how was
did.
that experience?
Awesome. Like 10 out of 10. I would do it again like 5 more times. I was so nervous. The funny thing is I was nervous leading up to going, like the anticipation of like the morning of like, oh my gosh, I'm about to jump out of a plane. But as soon
Mhm.
as we got there, it was like I was like cool. I was like, this is so fun. I'm so excited. And then even when we were in the plane going up, I was like, I was freaking excited. It was so fun. Yeah.
yeah. Amanda was excited. I was terrified. As I, as I was about to jump, okay, so I was okay until we got to the edge of the plane and I was about to jump out. That was when all the doubts started rushing in. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? You should have seen my face in the video because you get a video of your jump after. Man, it was like you could see all of the expressions of, you know.
Yeah, her Taiwo's video was probably the funniest out of
Yeah,
anything
it was so funny.
her facial expression or like lack thereof facial.
Oh my gosh. I was like, oh.
Would you
But
do it again?
I would do it again. I think if you once you do it once, you kind of get used to it. You get the hang of it. It was just the fear of like not knowing what to expect. And so yeah,
You're
but I
also
did.
falling to the ground in very swift speeds, so that's kind of scary.
So did anybody like get like Taiwo were the only person that was nervous, like jumping out of the plane? Anybody else like freak out? Everybody else could kind of just chill, like, yep, we're jumping, like it is what it is.
Yes, we had other friends though.
Yeah, our friend Joanne was a little nervous. She went first, and it's so funny because in my video, I went second, and so we're sitting at the front of the plane, and in my video, you just see her like as soon as they were moving, she was like, no, 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 no.
Aw.
I felt
You
so
know,
bad.
we,
You did
we
it.
did flips and turns in the air. I think that's another thing. It's like,
Oh
yeah.
heck no! I would have that would have freaked me out. Like the that just the thought of going that high up in the first place already like dang. But the plane doing flips in the air, absolutely not. I would have been like, oh
No,
no.
like the
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the pilot was
after
like,
you
let's
jump.
have a great experience by like doing some tricks in the air before you guys jump out of this plane.
No, after you jump, like
Yeah, because I don't think you guys are. I think what is it? You guys are like buckled in, or you're just kind of hanging
the
out.
straps to someone, a
Yeah.
professional skydiver.
That's so cool. Michelle, did you do anything as exciting as skydiving in the last month?
I stayed on the ground for a little while. You know, that's pretty exciting to me. No, not really. A lot of exams. Just stressed out about exams and all that kind of stuff. So no, nothing exciting like that.
But you're finishing soon, right? Like I think June you're done with the semester, or you're
Done with
graduating.
the semester, yeah. So I guess in May I'll be done with this semester, and then I'm taking a mini master, and then summer. But I don't graduate until next spring, so we're around the corner. I'm just ready for it to be over. Being 30 and like a full-fledged adult, working full time, and then also going to school full time. Let me tell you, 10 out of 10. Do not recommend.
I
Not
wouldn't do
even.
it either.
Same.
Just the thought of like writing a paper. I'm like, bro, no. I don't even want to. I work in sales, and the thought of like entering notes in Salesforce is daunting enough. So like the thought of like having to write a full fledged paper
I
about
feel like
something
that's
right
like
now.
every sales guy, though. Every sales guy has a problem with Salesforce. You guys are weird. I don't understand.
It's just like
And
it's like
as somebody that helps the salespeople in where I work, like we just take care of Salesforce. We know that you guys are just you go get the meat, we'll prepare it. It's fine.
exactly. It's like I already took the notes like why do I need to re-enter my notes? Like let me just upload like my notes I already took, you know? Even though those notes are even like it's like kind of like scribbles if
Mhm.
you want to call it that, um but yeah, so that's cool. Somebody's on here. Somebody's watching the stream. We got two people earlier. Somebody else left, I think, but somebody's watching. So shout out to that person. Add a comment so we know who you are as well if you're watching the stream. So I'm gonna do a giveaway for people that do join and leave comments. So this. Well, cool. I appreciate the updates. I'm excited for you guys for the summer, but I want to dive into the season because it's the last one, man. It was so bittersweet to like finish
Yeah.
this show because I'm like, dang, it is done. Part of me wanted to watch the 4 episodes of the next show because I was like, what happens next? Like, I want to know like what happens with Roy, what happens with Lorelai, and
Mhm.
unfortunately Lorelai and Luke. Um, so, do y'all want to start with Rory and her kind of path throughout the season, or do you guys want to start with Lorelai and everything that transpired from the Chris situation to the end? Who do you guys want to start with?
Let's start with Rory.
Keep it easy. So I like
Yeah.
so Rory's situation was weird. I mean, the biggest thing that happened this season to Rory was obviously her and Logan. No,
Mm.
Yeah.
yes, Logan. All right,
Mhm.
I forgot the name. Yeah, her and Logan. But like the biggest thing that happened was the end, to where Logan proposes and she tells him, "No, I'm 22 years old. I'm trying to live my life. I don't want to settle down." Right? And I see Logan's perspective because he is going to live in California. She's looking at jobs in the Northeast. So that was interesting to me that she said no. I honestly thought she would come back to him and say yes, but
Yeah.
it was just so weird that she said no to me. But I understand what she said. When she was like, "I'm 22 years old." We saw her whole life in front of him. But I don't know. What did y'all think about? Let's talk first about the ending. What y'all think about the ending? I think that's the end. They might do some stuff in the future, but the ending of Logan and Rory
I
I'm
was
not sure if I'm surprised, honestly.
wasn't surprised. Amanda will say,
Yeah, well, because like I mean, it sucked, because it was like, you kind of start getting to a point where you're like, okay, I'm kind of cool with these guys, being together. That's totally fine. But so I think part of me was like, yeah, I hope they do stay together and, get married or whatever. But I think like deep down, I don't think I could ever really see Rory be married to somebody, just simply because of
Okay.
kind of the path that Lorelai has set out for Rory, and just this is her perspective. This is where she's at, and this is the viewpoint that she has. So then I kind of wonder, maybe that's kind of why I have this, like, I'm not that surprised that she said no. You know?
So you think because Lorelai hasn't really gotten married or the relationship she's had, that's the reason why Rory's like anti. She's like anti-marriage as well, but she doesn't know it, but she kind of is. Is your thought?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I think
But
we've talked about it throughout the seasons, that the way that Lorelai kind of sets up, like, Lorelai is the visual of what a relationship looks like,
mm.
good or bad, right? In Rory's life, she doesn't have any other example, and I think that's kind of
I mean, she
why.
does. She does have. She has her grandparents.
Sure,
So
but also, I don't know. I don't know if
yeah.
that makes it better or not, because you're most influenced by the people the closest to you. And yeah, maybe her grandparents are close, but their influence in her life would be school, collegiate stuff, all the school stuff and accolades of that, and I guess money, but so
I get that. I was sad. Like I have so many thoughts because I love Logan and I love Logan. I'll always be like team Logan because I feel like he just like matured and like you saw him change throughout their relationship to where like, oh, this can actually be like a good adult relationship. Um, maybe. But I think that the way that he proposed initially, like, gave me the ick. Like,
Really?
yes,
not cute.
like in front of their like grandparents and a whole bunch of people, like at this like party that's so unlike Rory. Just I was like, okay, like I was a little bit disappointed in that, like his initial proposal,
So
honestly.
what would have been a better proposal though? Like in your mind for him? Because I thought it was. I was like that's bold in front of her grandparents because she really respects her grandparents. Her mom and her dad's there. Like I don't know, but what would
I
you think would be better?
feel like they would be like so much better, like intimate, like maybe on a rooftop, like just them two, like candles, like romantic. And
Mm.
I feel like Rory would have been like more like, oh, maybe I would say yes. But I don't know. Something about like the way he proposed just was like, ugh. I don't know.
It's too much pressure when
Yeah,
you have a bunch of
if you,
people in the room.
Yeah, exactly. It's
yeah, because if you look at all of their dates at
Mhm.
that season, it was like rooftop. Remember the rooftop where he like came unannounced from,
yeah.
and then like they she had like he had like candles and all of that. I think that's more of Rory's theme. She loves romance. You can tell by how many books when you're a book nerd like that, you literally want like a fairy tale, romantic, and all of that. And
Or
so
just go
yeah, I
propose in the
totally
library.
agree. Yeah, I exactly like something Rory. I really, yes, I agree with Amanda. But I really wanted them to work because I liked Logan for her because he was like more mature, um, just calm. Meanwhile, Rory's like overthinking, overreacting, and all of that. But
Yeah.
Was
But I
it?
also do get what Michelle says because like it's so young. I can't imagine like
Yeah.
I mean I kind of can, but like I don't know. There's a reason why people wait until a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I guess people get married whenever. I don't know. I don't.
people get married whenever, especially in a small town like that. I don't
Yeah.
even think that
And
age.
they're white. So let's
I
add that
know
in there. White people get married very young. So let's add that in there.
this is true. This is true. So I don't even think. I think I agree with what Michelle was saying earlier with her being, and I don't think she's afraid of marriage. I think it's
Mhm.
a commitment issue. Um,
Mhm.
with seeing her mom over time go through all that same issue in her relationship, and she's had to be the parent so many times to where like she's like telling her mom the do's and don'ts of what not to do in a relationship, especially when, if you remember, when she broke up with, she like cheated on Luke with
Mhm.
Rory's dad. That period of Rory just parenting her mom and like you shouldn't do that and all of those
Mhm.
things. That actually causes a lot of psychological, you
Yeah.
know, damage on a kid because then when it
They have
comes
to
to
grow up too fast.
yeah, they're not able to make adult mature decisions, when it comes to relationships.
I
I
think like also just as a personal me being a little sassy. So whoever listens to this, just FYI. um, I have always felt like if now to each their own, okay, but I've always felt like when somebody proposes in public situations like that, it's more for the theatrics of it and less for the intimacy of it because proposing to somebody is so like it's you and that person, it's so personal. Now to each their own, but I don't know, I think in Logan's situation I felt like it was like a I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna show everybody, and it was like okay, well, there's other ways. But
Yeah. So I want to touch on something that Taiwo brought up as far as like Rory's parenting of Lorelai, because it was weird, like her finding out that she cheated, and we'll get to that because that was a big part of the season. But I'm curious. Do y'all think Paris's comments to Rory affected like her thoughts on the relationship? Because Paris was like, "Oh yeah, I broke up with what's Buddy's name that works at the
Doyle.
newspaper, huh?"
Doyle.
Doyle, yeah, she broke up with Doyle. And she's like, I'm choosing my career aspirations over love.
Mm.
And then she's like, oh, and then she's like, you're doing the exact same thing. And Roy's like, no, I'm not. I'm choosing love, right? But in the end, she chooses her career aspirations because she doesn't want to get tied down at a young age because she wants to, pursue her goals and dreams. So do you guys feel like Paris played a part in that, or is that just like circumstance?
Huh.
maybe a little bit, but not. I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible because Paris, she's always had that rivalry going on, unspoken, sometimes.
Yeah,
But Paris has always been her like running buddy, like someone she's like, okay, if Paris is doing it, I want to do better. Um, so it's possible, but I'm not sure like to that degree because she's also a romantic person. She loves love. She's always been wanting to be with somebody and have some, relationship she can call her own. So
yeah,
I'm not sure it's like to that degree. Yes, there might have been a certain level of influence, but I think to Amanda's point, if Logan had done like a more intimate proposal, there might be a higher percentage that she would have said yes because that would outweigh every other doubt or whatever she might have had.
gotcha.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think the way that he did it, like she has all these outside pressures of her grandparents are like, oh yeah, you're gonna say yes, and the grandparents are putting all this pressure. Like, why on earth would Rory decline Logan's proposal? And I think like that probably made her think more than like with her brain rather than like just like leading with her heart. And so I I feel like that probably played a part too.
Hmm. Women were very. I was telling my husband this the other day. Like we are like, it has to have the vibe, the environment,
Mhm.
everything plays into our decisions. We're not logical like men. Like we're more of like emotions, vibes,
Facts.
aesthetics, everything has to all work together for us to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so I really agree with what Amanda is saying.
So I'm curious to get y'all's thoughts on this. So she says no to the proposal. In your mind, if somebody says no to a proposal, is that the end of the relationship?
Hmm.
Oh gosh, this really bugs
This
me.
is a dicey topic.
It literally bugs me because I'm like, why on earth can't we just like work it out? Why does it have to be the end?
Mhm.
I feel like they should have just continue.
discussed it after.
Like, I think they should have continued their relationship because, like, they had no reason to break up other than the fact that Rory wasn't ready to get married. And, like, yeah, they were going to be living in two separate places, but they've done long distance before. Rory was willing to, like, try long distance. Like, why would you not try it? And, like, if it's not working, it's not working. But I mean, just because she says no, I mean, I don't know. I guess from a guy's perspective too, like, I feel like,
Humiliating.
That's tough. That's tough.
It's so humiliating in front of
yeah,
people. You know, it's really tough. Like guys don't take that kind of thing well.
But
yeah,
And
look, here's the other issue that you're running into with these guys. Like, Logan didn't, usually in the perfect world, or just, the real world, there's communication when it comes to like proposal. Like, you guys talk about, hey, is this something that you want to do? Where
this
are we at in our relationship?
Yep.
Okay, great. Let me plan things. You know what I mean? Like, there's communication, right?
Yep.
There was zero communication in this, but that's just kind of the way of the world. In Stars Hollow, whatever.
that's just
It's just so I get like the, okay, then this relationship is over. But because it's so emotionally taxing for the guy, and so like heartbreaking, and like, oh, she doesn't want to marry me, so she probably doesn't want to stay with me, or whatever, or like, I get that. But also, I feel like normal people don't just pop a question and not know the person well enough to know what they want. You know what I mean? Like,
but what's her name? Her mom popped. Did she not propose to Luke?
yeah, like it's completely emotional.
they're very emotional. Yeah, but that was also like, were they even ready? Again, let's talk about it.
Luke
So
said no, and she like that was final for her. She literally went and she slept with someone else.
exactly, I was gonna bring it up too. I was like,
Being
so it's just
manipulative.
like there's a finality with this
Imagine
proposal.
that.
You know what I mean? Like she was like, "We getting married today or not at all?"
And then
You know.
he said
So
no, and then she was like, "That's it."
Yeah, what?
yeah, we'll get to
Wait, what was
Lorelai.
this again? I don't remember.
They're just
Um,
dramatic.
Like that before?
Uh,
so we'll
town.
get to we'll get to Lorelai. Hold on, I like this conversation about Rory, but I do want to point out something else because you brought up communication, and it pissed me off that this show there was such a lack of communication between every single person until the final episode when you see Luke and Lorelai have a real conversation in the
Mhm.
little maze, and I was like, "Is that what it takes? It takes the last episode of the freaking show for them to actually communicate their feelings." And like be normal, you know what I mean? So that was pretty fun. I do see a couple people are in the live. If you guys are joining live, appreciate you guys joining. Feel free to add a comment. You will be entered into a giveaway. So add your name or a comment to the live, and I'll give you guys some merch if you win.
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, so Rory's fun. So I thought like this season, this was like the most balanced Rory in my opinion. Like she's just focused on graduating, her relationship's good. Like everything was just like back to season one Rory, where everything is like moving forward. And then she has a boyfriend now, but like even there's no real distractions. Logan obviously has his life, and so like it was interesting to see her dynamic in her world kind of being like moving forward, but then Lorelai's situation is just like rocky and turbulent, which is kind of consistent throughout the entire show with Lorelai in the first place. But what did you guys think about how Rory found out about Chris and Lorelai and them and their situation? Because I was like, you talk about like I don't know, and like just speaking from Rory's perspective and not talking about Lorelai yet, it's just like how shitty. Like you're your mom's you're your mom best friends, right? That's your
Mm,
dad. That's weird in the first place. So you
weird.
cheated on your fiance with her dad. Like how are you supposed to feel? You know what I mean? Being that person. That's so weird. Like I was just thinking from her perspective. I'm like, do you want that to happen? Like her and Luke worked out. You're already mad at your dad, but it is your dad, and your mom and your dad being back together is not a dream, but like a comforting thought. So what was your thoughts from Roy's perspective? What are your thoughts on that situation?
It was just messy.
Poor
Felt a
Rory.
little.
I feel
Go
sad
ahead.
for her, honestly. I felt really sad for her that episode because it just felt like Lorelai did not. think through it.
Mhm.
There were so many things like if Chris and Lorelai didn't work out, then the relationship that Rory has been able to work on with her dad, like everything was going smooth, then obviously that would have affected their relationship as well, like the daddy daughter relationship, and that meant so much more to Rory than any other, last, flimsy emotions or like one night stands. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so Rory felt like she didn't prioritize her. Lorelai didn't prioritize Rory in her decision. She was only thinking of herself, and that's selfish.
Yeah.
And as a mom, like, and then look, because Rory's like, you're my best friend, you should have my best interest at heart. And so like your actions didn't show that. And
Right.
so that was really disappointing on for Rory, because this is her number one supporter. This should be the person that she shouldn't have to worry that it's not a safe space. She shouldn't have to worry that this person is not gonna choose me above any other thing else. And so, and then she had to find out later, you didn't even, okay, let's assume that was a mistake because people make mistakes, but you didn't even tell me, you didn't own up. And that's another, like, you broke the trust between us. Like, I, as a daughter, like, I always tell you all these things. Like, Rory is so vulnerable with her in relationships. Rory gives her a lot of grace, but in that situation, that wasn't returned. And so I was, yeah, I felt sad for her. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, like, the crazy part is too, is like these two guys are like the only two, minus, I guess, Richard, the only two father figures in her life. And Lorelai is just like,
I like that.
just
Playing with them.
like messing with them, it feels like. And like for Rory, I can't imagine just like you have your heart set on like, okay, like maybe this guy truly can be like a true father figure, dad. And then all of a sudden Lorelai just like ruined it. And she's like, oh crap,
Mhm.
you ruined my relationship with my
Mhm.
real dad and what could be my stepdad. Anyways, I just feel like poor girl. Like poor thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Anytime she's having some sort of stability in her life, there comes Lorelai.
Like,
Very
Right.
true. That's very true.
The queen of instability, Lorelai Gilmore.
There was a
So
moment
that's
though where they were talking, and I think she was like, am I thinking of the right thing? She was saying like, "Oh, I wouldn't have, if you told me, I wouldn't have talked you out of it." And then come to find out that she was like, "Well, maybe I would have," you know. And I'm like, well, maybe I also wonder too if that's part of the reason why, like, she didn't say anything. I'm not here to defend Lorelai. I don't really like her very much, but uh I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason why, because she knows her well enough to know that if the decision I make isn't a good decision, I'm going to get talked out of it, and then it's not going to then that relationship is severed. And I don't know if I want that relationship to be severed. I
Mm,
think I want to try to make my own decisions and not have to powwow with my daughter every single time I have some thought that I want to go with.
yeah.
the thing
So,
is too is like Lorelai knew she screwed up.
oh
Like
yeah.
she knew that that was a complete mistake. So like she's not that I'm taking
Did
Lorelai.
she though? Did she though? Let's. No, we're about to transition to Lorelai. So did she? Keep going, man. Share your thoughts.
I'm not defending what she did at all. No, like bad Lorelai. We don't like that. But imagine like all of this, like the shame that she's carrying around with her. Like there's a reason why she didn't just be like, oh, Rory, by the way, like I made a mistake. Like she truly
Yes.
knew that she made a mistake and she felt like crappy afterwards. Like even when she like walked in, to work the next day and she's talking to Suki, she's like, I just made a mistake. Anyway, so like I just can't imagine like she's
I will.
feeling like
Yeah, no.
the worst.
Yeah, I have no pity. I
She
get
knows
it.
better. If you know better, you're expected to do better. You know what? Let me not get started on Chris. Like he deserved every ounce of that punch.
Dude,
I
yes.
was
When I
like,
texted you guys, when I
look.
messaged you guys, and I was like, okay, I hate this situation. I hate Lorelai. And then Luke goes in. I was like, never mind. I feel better.
Look,
Oh,
actually
man. I
reacted. This has
felt it.
always been like calm, chill. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're able to like give him that punch. He deserved that because
That
you
felt
should.
good.
Yeah,
I
you
was
if
dancing.
the wife, the mom, if Lorela wasn't thinking about your daughter, you then guess who should be someone of the two of you should be thinking about your daughter. And
Right.
so it's
They're acting like teenagers, I feel like a lot too. Oh, we're not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna do the thing that we want to do because we can. We're adults. And it's very childish.
childish.
Yeah, so that's I mean, this is perfect transition right now to Lorelai. So we've spent enough time on Rory. I don't want to say she's boring, but like you kind of see the vision like in Rory. Like she's moving forward. She graduated from Yale. You know, I also thought Paris's like getting into every single college was hilarious. She's like, "Oh, I got into Harvard," and she's like having their crisis of like what school to choose now. It's like, oh, plethora of riches from Paris. Um, so
Mm.
everything there was cool. Actually, before we wrap up with Lori, um, any thoughts on Rory? I'm mixing them together. Any thoughts on Rory's best friend Lane?
The fact
And
that she got
Oh my god. It only took
oh,
one time.
and she hated
Impressive.
it too. She was like, "There's sand everywhere." Oh my god.
That conversation just made me laugh so hard. I was like, okay, well, that's really weird. That's the first place that you decide, there's beds. They work a lot better, that was really funny to me.
I think so, Lane, because of her upbringing, that's the downside of having really strict and restrictive parents.
Mhm.
Because the one freedom that you have, you're just gonna misuse it. You
Yeah.
like that's just what happens. And so that's why the one time she had sex, it's like in a non
Crazy.
conducive. She's like, oh my gosh, this is my freedom. I'm gonna do it. So, and then unfortunately, with people like that, they get pregnant.
Immediately, not just with one, but with two.
Really. So
Uh,
that was the fun. Anyways, I just I wanted better for her because she's had to go through
Yeah.
so much with her mom, and I wanted her to have better so she can show her mom that it's not all about being overprotective and all of that she can still turn out well. But I don't know why the writer of the show made it look like I don't know. I
Weird.
think she deserved better.
Did you say, Amanda, that this was the season that they like changed writers?
They did,
Oh,
yeah. So the original like writer of the show, Amy Sherman Palladino, left before season 7.
Okay,
So they brought somebody else in, and that's why like it's a little bit different
weird.
this season.
that makes sense.
It
'Cause
Yeah,
felt a little odd this season. I was like, what is going on? And the ending, oh my gosh, huh?
yeah.
no,
Um. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but so
you're good.
Lane. I just want to wrap up with Roy's thoughts. But Lane, I don't know. I feel like she got the short end of the stick. Like she got pregnant,
Mhm.
She
and
did.
then like everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go off on this band trip without you." She kind of just stuck with the kids. No big deal. I mean, you have kids, but I don't know. Lane's kind of like just she was just like nerdy girl who was going to college and then got into a band, had a good time, and then it just like ended. It's like
Yeah,
okay, that character was just like
that character deserved more.
I
for
think so
sure.
too. I love Lane though, so I'm pretty biased.
So I did have a couple of notes. I forgot to bring up my notes earlier, but I had a couple of notes on Logan that I wanted to get off my chest. So where's it at? It's so was Logan wrong for bringing up the fact that Rory and Marty knew each other to Lucy? Was he wrong for doing that in the bar when they're like he's like I'm not gonna pretend in front of your friend. You guys remember that from the season?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was weird.
So it was a little weird, and like maybe he should have done it a little bit differently, but at the same time, like Marty shouldn't have put Rory in that position, and Rory shouldn't have gone along with it. It's like, why does Logan have to lie?
I think it's weird that this was a lie to begin with. Like when she saw him in the room with her friend and he was treating her weird. Like if I was in that position, to be like, oh no, I know Marty. Like we go way back, you know. Like it wouldn't have been weird. It would have just been like, oh, I know who he is. Okay, cool. Yeah, I met him in my first year, and that squashed whatever else happened. You know, that was the end of it.
Yeah, but Marty was being weird too, though. Like I understand why Rory didn't, because Marty was being weird in the first place. Like I don't know, but it was just a weird situation. I did feel like Logan was a bit of an asshole though, like doing that.
I
Like if
agree.
you see your girlfriend's trying to play a part, like at least give her some leeway before you do it. But that's just Logan. That's his character. Like he's just, I'm gonna just go. I'm gung ho. Another thing about Logan, as a guy, I understand the whole Vegas situation. Like going after, like imagine losing millions of dollars, right? Like your company goes belly up, your dad is on your ass. Like I see why he was like, I just want to just go hang out in Vegas and probably drink and gamble, right? That was his big thing. I understand that, like personally, as I do. But did y'all, as women, did y'all like hate that? Did you understand? Amanda seemed stressed about
I
it.
I understand to an extent.
Okay.
Mhm.
I understand. Like I get you got to go blow off some steam, whatever, but
Don't be stupid with your
don't be
money.
dumb. Yeah, like just
Like
Just a
that's not
couple
gonna
hands of
make
blackjack, some roulette, like let's go. Just boys be
go take a
boys.
walk in the park. How about that?
yes, but like do something else, not Vegas. Vegas,
Yeah,
gross.
that's where bad decisions happen. Hello.
Hello.
No.
I wasn't ticked off by that. I was more ticked off like he's kind of like shut down,
Mm.
because he was probably like embarrassed and like his business just went completely backwards. So like I get it, but at the same time, like let Rory in.
Relax. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last thing I have is I never understood Lorelai's hatred of Logan. Like I never understood. Like even this season
Same.
when she was like, "Oh, you need to find a job and stuff like that." Like Logan, I wrote down. I was like, he has a good pulse into the
Yeah.
future, right? Like he back in 2006, I guess, or seven when this season came out. Like he was talking about the .com boom, like things going online, e-commerce, and like things moving that way. And Lorelai's like, why can't you get a job? I don't know, kind of like a layman work, like electrician or something like that. Like I forgot specifically the job she was talking about, but I just feel like she's just so stuck in this like now I don't know like she no open up a bookstore or something like that. I was like
What?
if he did that back then, nowadays he'd be left behind. It's a TV show again, so it's
Show.
irrelevant. But like it's just so crazy like Lorelai's mindset and like his mindset are two different wavelengths, but his mindset actually would have succeeded if it played out in real life in the future based off of where things are going.
No,
I
but
never
at that time, was e-commerce even cool? Was it cool to be doing?
no.
No.
No,
Yeah.
but he had an idea, and he was like, "Oh, this is the wave of the future." And Laura's like, "Why can't you just do something that makes sense now?" I don't know. I don't understand like why she hated
It's
him so
the
much.
same thing as when people talk about NFTs and when it first started,
Yeah,
when, and everybody's like, "Go get a real job," because that's not a real job,
yeah.
right? But now that it's becoming the thing now, it's cool. But that's the thing with like
Bitcoin.
anything society thinks it's like new ideas, new things. It's like, oh, go get a real job because people don't know that thing yet. They don't understand it. They don't know what it is. They don't know if it's going to be profitable or if it's just a fad. You know what I mean? And so I understand she's just, like any mother will do. It's like, okay, I need you to get a real job because I need you to be able to provide for my daughter.
I
I
think
can see that.
I
Sorry.
think like I think what it comes down to is Lorelai doesn't like the fact that like Logan is rich.
Yep.
And I feel like it always comes back to that because even when they had like a little powwow at their house, when Logan was like, oh yeah, like I'm basically doing the same thing you did. Like I don't want to do what my dad is doing, just like you didn't want to, do what your parents wanted you to do. And I feel like that was the only time in the show where they truly like bonded. And Lorelai realized like, okay, maybe this kid like isn't the worst, but I feel like she still has this like resentment to like the fact that he's from a wealthy family, and she did everything she could to get away from her family.
Family.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I second that for sure.
I
That yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
1,000,000%. Yeah, I think also too, just if you think about it, I think both can absolutely be true. You're doing something that's super random and new. Why don't you do something, absolutely that's secure right now? That makes sense. But then there is this also other side to it where yeah, he's a rich kid, and he has daddy's money, and Lorelai doesn't like daddy's money. So yeah, I absolutely agree with both of you guys for sure.
Crazy. Yeah. So those are my notes on Logan. Rory, obviously. We touched on everything there. So now let's get to the main show, which is cheating,
Oh,
Lorelai. But it's okay. Let me back up. So obviously, throughout the entire seasons we've watched, I've always wanted Luke and Lorelai to end up together until last season when she cheated, and I was like, absolutely. But there's something I wrote down that I love that Suki said that I think was like why they did it, but she said it's not Disney. Things happen. This is real life. And so like I felt like that quote was like her setting that up. Like we are this is a real show. Like it's not going to be just this happy ending. Though it does end up happy if you want them to end up together, which I didn't want them to end up together. But like it was so interesting that they were like, you know what, let's throw this wrench out there because it's not going to be a happy ending. It's not Disney. Um, but Luke and Chris being together, Luke and Chris, Lorelai and Chris being together, I was like, this is what I want. She deserves Chris. Like after everything she did, all these seasons have been together. You deserve Chris, and I was hoping that would be the ending, right? But
Yeah.
kind of my thoughts before I keep on going because I could rant about this. But did you guys like the transition, like the immediate transition into Chris? I feel like that was kind of a little bit weird. Like they immediately started dating again. Like,
I thought that was so strange.
yeah.
I thought it was so strange. I thought like, first of all, what a punch. Appreciate that. Way to go, Luke. Luke is really he's number one. um
I'll get to that too, but yeah.
I it felt so forced. It felt it felt so strange. And it kind of felt like very similar to when uh Dean and Rory tried to get back together and start from the beginning as if nothing happened. Like the way they got back together didn't happen and things are normal. It kind of felt a little bit like that, where they're just constantly reminiscing on the past, but not really looking towards their future and what that looks like. And they're not. It feels like they're playing a game. It was weird. It felt weird. It felt wrong for someone like myself and Savon, maybe like to say like you don't deserve Luke. You've heard him too many times. Freaking screw you, Lorelai. To want them to stay together, Chris and Lorelai, because they clearly deserve each other. They're both sorry, Amanda. They're both trash. They're horrible people, and they deserve each other. But
That's
I
funny.
think that kind of seeing that come to fruition was such an odd like they were so weird together. And I part of me was like, man, I kind of do wish that you didn't cheat and like you stayed with Luke. I wish that that was a thing because this is so like the pieces don't click together, it just felt
It was
strange.
definitely very forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
don't even get me started. Yeah,
get started, Tyrell. Get freaking started.
yeah. I feel like it was almost like, oh, if I can get Luke, then I'll just be
Settle
with
with
Chris.
Chris.
She did settle with Chris, and she kept on like trying to convince herself
Yeah.
like this is the better option. Like
Yeah.
throughout the season, she's like, "Well, I'm choosing somebody who actually wants to get married." Like always, say like
Mhm.
when they get married in Paris, like she's like, "I'm
Exactly.
choosing somebody like he wants to get married. He wants to do all these different things." Like
Instead of fighting for like fighting,
it's
having the hard conversations, like working it out. But she's like, I don't want to do that. I'll just go to so since it's up since Chris is available. Like,
but to Amanda's point, and I know Amanda has some stuff she wants to get off her chest. I can see it in her face. But to Amanda's point about Lorelai is she did regret it, right? She couldn't go back to Luke because she did cheat and she knew he wouldn't accept her back. So instead of like trying to go back, and she kept on telling herself, "It's over, it's over, it's over,"
Mhm.
because she ended it with her cheating. Like that ended it. So regardless of like Luke coming to her house and like being like, "Oh, we want to get back together," whatever, whatever, she's like, "It has to be over because I cheated. Like there's no way that it can continue um, because of what I did." So
I thought it was kind of strange too, though, that like she has that perspective, and Chris is like, I hate Luke, and I'm still fighting for my now wife, like as if Luke was trying to get her, and it's like, no, you're fighting for. What are you fighting for? Because you already won, you know, and I think like, gosh, what was it called? It was not a letter. What did she write for Luke to have custody of his kid? That
oh
was
yeah,
meant to
it was
appear.
like a support. It technically was a letter, but it was like for support of like Luke
Yeah,
or whatever.
I think even seeing something like that and him freaking out, I think that in his head he will never, even though he married Lorelai, he will never really have her,
I
which is
I
kind
agree
of
with that.
sad.
Mhm.
I
So
agree with that. I mean, you saw that with the reaction to like
mm,
all the town stuff. Like he never fit in with the town. Nobody
yeah,
accepted them.
and
He
the
did.
town
He tried.
hated him.
Right.
bro.
Like, and it was kind of dumb. Like the whole like knit-a-thon. Like, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna knit for money," but it was never about the money. But he was like, "Oh, let me just drop $7,000," and everybody's like, "All right, cool. Well, I guess we're done there." Like just kind of ruined the
Yeah.
town event. But they didn't really accept him, and I don't know. But it's also like I understand it and I understand the small town. Like I love the small town, but it's like, why didn't Lorelai just move? I get it. That's been her. This is her. But there's also all these different things with Lorelai that I'm noticing is like she's so stuck in this like no change ever. Like she struggles very heavily with change, and we saw that like when the car breaks down she struggles with like changing to a different car, and I feel like that's just it's just an example of like her not adapting well to changing situations, especially with Rory growing up and leaving her.
I feel that. I think I'm the same way.
Really?
Really, I don't see you like that.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that, man? I have to dive into that. Why do you say that?
Yeah.
Well, like I like what I like and I like what I know, like what I know. And like even when I like moved to Allen when me and Zach first got married, I always told myself like I would never move to Allen. It's too far away. And it took me a while to be like, I live in Allen. And then like finally getting used to it. And then we're moving to Melissa. Although it's a little bit different, but I just like I like what I know. I don't know. I feel like I would be the same way because even like in when we first got married, there's like a lot of my stuff that I'm like, we're keeping some of my stuff or things I like. Why don't we do this? And I'm like, no. Well, I feel like I'm similar.
Yes or no?
Yeah.
I can understand that. I think I could relate to some degree, but I think I'm just hard-headed. I think I'm just a very stubborn person. I don't know if it's necessarily that like I I like what I like as well, but I think I'm just more of a hard-headed person. Like I will fight tooth and nail for the things I want. You know what I mean? I lose often, but it's fine. We kind of get over it at some point. We can't stay in the trenches forever.
Not the trenches.
But I do see that like Lorelai is reluctant to, make any sort of change in her life. But, like that's where she grew up and that's like the town that raised her and like the town where she, first got
Found
her
yourself.
family.
That's a big soft spot for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something that Lorelai said I thought was interesting too was She says, "I know everyone thought it would be me and Luke, but it's me and Christopher." And I was like, it was so interesting because like her saying that is like I was like, dang, am I the town? Like, like
I am the dad.
everybody in the town was like, it should be you and Luke, and she's like, no, it's me and Christopher. I was like, dang, I feel part of the town now. Like, I love, I again, there's all these little quotes that I noticed this season where I'm like, that's great, that's a great quote. Like, I felt like I was like, dang, that must mean I'm part of the town. I guess again, maybe they were addressing kind of some of the stuff people were thinking anyway, but
Mhm.
I love that from this show. So I thought that was cool. But yeah, I wanted them to work out. Like when he proposed to her, I thought it was kind of ironic because he pressured her to get married in Paris, and she pressured Luke to get married. But I was like, yep, here it is. They're gonna get married and they're gonna be together, and this is how this show's gonna end. I don't want her to go back to Luke, though. I saw signs. I was like, this needs to be them two together forever, um, and it wasn't. So, Luke. Before we get into Luke, um, thoughts on Lorelai and Chris. Anything else you guys want to talk about for them specifically?
No, other than the fact that their whole relationship annoyed me.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I was very I was like ready for that to be done. I feel like it was just a phase, although you shouldn't get married if it's just gonna be a phase. And that's what
Yeah,
she did. Like I knew from like by the way that he proposed to her and like they wanted to get married in Paris. Like I knew like it wasn't gonna last. Yeah.
see, I thought. So I don't know if anybody can talk, but I thought they were going to go to Paris, and he's going to realize how much he misses his ex wife and like leave Lorelai.
That's what
That's
I
what I
thought
thought.
too, actually. Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
And then they got married, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is just them together. But then you see like the town not accepting it, their friends not accepting it, and you know, God bless Suki, but I don't know how Suki deals with
Hey,
Lorelai. Like
Suki.
I don't know how she can either. I don't
I,
know. She's a great friend.
I
I like Lorelai's friendship with her. It's just fun to
yeah,
Yeah.
watch.
I was wondering where her husband was throughout this.
yeah. Jackson just like they
He
just got
just,
rid of Jackson.
he just wrote him off the show. Anyways.
But you guys did touch on the first thing that happened this season, which was Luke punching Chris. My favorite part of the show, and this season specifically, but part of the show too, was the fight between Luke and Chris.
Yeah,
That was amazing.
that was good.
I was like, yes, men, battle it out. Like, let's talk with our
Whatever,
yeah,
you're a woman.
because because as okay, so from Chris's perspective, as a man, how are you just gonna walk around this like I couldn't live in a town knowing this man just came to my house and sucker punched me. Like
Like,
we gotta fight it out. Like and
Yeah.
then you're still having conversations with her. Like I understand why Chris was a little like, you know what I mean? Like he did take the girl, but like I would have like, nah, fam, we gotta like this is you
Dig it
can't
out.
just come
Dig
over
it
to my
out.
apartment, punch me in the face, and leave without us, without repercussions. So I love that scene. Like I was like, this is fantastic. This is cinema. Like this is just kiss.
I still think
So
Luke won that fight. Just throwing it out there. I
I
think
think
he's
you
gonna
want
win.
Luke to win that fight. It was a pretty even fight. I think you want Luke to win that fight though, because you are Team Luke, which I am as well. Before we get into like the ending of Luke and Lorelai, I love seeing Luke this season be a dad. Like I thought that was
yes, I
Yeah,
really
so
phenomenal.
sweet.
love him.
Like when he just started focusing on his daughter, I was like, and
Yes,
then the fact that like the relationship was just you see it like budding into like her loving her dad,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So I love that as a guy. I really love Luke and his daughter's April relationship. So, but Ty, what you have something you gonna say on top of that?
Oh yeah, it's just another side of Luke coming out, I like that for him to help him heal from a lot of rejection that he's faced from that crazy man in the the town, whatever. What's his name again? That's always putting up structures in front of Luke's diner.
oh, what's his name?
Taylor.
Anyway,
Taylor.
Like all of the things, the different crazy relationships. So just him with his daughter, like I think I saw that healing take place. He was smiling again, and I really like that for him.
I don't know if it's a fair comparison, but I already like Luke as a dad versus Lorelai as a mom. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
No, he's a perfect person. It's really not.
I don't like her. I'm so sorry. I'm so
So Lucas and that was great, but I also love how he adapted to change, and I think that's what Lorelai saw too. Is like him starting to adapt. Like he sold his boat, right? He's like, I'm gonna go on this trip
Mm-hmm.
with April and all these different things. And I'm like, look at Luke, like my
sorry.
boy, like this is my guy, like embracing change, finally changing for
Yeah.
the better. And that's why I was like, look, he got rid of that toxic person in his life, and all
Mhm.
these things started going forward from it, started
Exactly.
embracing change, and then here she comes, slime, slithering back in, and it's the end.
It's like every time there's stability somewhere,
It's a drug.
Lorelai,
She's a drug. She's a drug.
she's just like, where's the stability? Let me get
Right.
up.
Oh.
She's crying. Oh no. Amanda, no.
Crazy. Crazy.
Oh, who's the mom? I forgot her name. Is it Anna?
What
Yeah,
mom?
Anna. Yeah,
Oh,
Anna,
April's mom.
April's mom. That made me sad when she was like, "No, you're not gonna fight for your kid. Let me. If you do, we're gonna go to court." That made me kind of sad
yeah.
a little bit. Like I understand her perspective. Definitely, she's the primary parent, right? But um, it's not like he's trying to it's not like a tumultuous situation, like it's I want time with my daughter. I really want a relationship with her, and she clearly wants a relationship with me. And so I felt like that kind of made me a little sad that he had to go to court and like really fight for what he wanted, which is also nice that he really wanted it that badly, but it was kind of, I liked her at first, and then I kind of was like, okay, well, I get it, but also, I don't know if I like you that much.
I never
Yeah,
liked her.
yeah. Anna was a POS. Like, how can you don't tell Luke about the kid for what 12 years, 13 years? I forgot how
Yeah,
old she was.
12,
The
13.
daughter has to go do a DNA test on 3 random men to find out who her
Smart enough
dad
to go
is.
out to do that for starters.
Exactly.
Like, that's
She
crazy.
figures it out. She starts building a relationship with her dad. You're
Mhm.
skeptical about it, but you allow it. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But and then you're gonna be like, you know what? She's my daughter. You were never in her life before. You didn't let him be in her life
It's
before.
your fault.
It's your fault. Like you act like he's a bad dad when it's your fault. Like I
Yeah.
was that I forgot about. Like, I didn't forget about it, but I read that into my notes. But that pissed me off. I'm like, how are you gonna make these statements and go to court and prevent him from seeing his daughter when you're the one in the first place that didn't want him to know he had a daughter? Like that's stupid.
Yeah.
You would think you want him in her life, like women.
Well, I mean,
Amen.
That's
man.
funny. No,
I
but
remember
Luke, but
side note. I only remember her from I don't know what else she's in, but I
Where did
remember
they
her from
even meet?
Friends.
Because I don't remember.
She was the lady that lost her leg and Chandler threw it in the fire. And in case you wanted the fun of that, that made me laugh when I saw her. I was like, "Oh my god, it's your leg!"
Yeah. Gilmore Girls has
A lot of people,
like a lot of people that played multiple roles in this show. So Anna Nardini was also Jess's mom, like really early on in the series.
really,
Mhm.
Oh,
I didn't
I
know.
noticed that.
Yeah, same
Who
actor.
else? Who else is like some people that were
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a couple that like played
Multiple.
multiple roles. Like Richard's mom. She also played the sister, his sister.
oh,
Really?
that's so weird.
Yeah.
Really? Cool. So we're gonna wrap it. We're ending now. So not now, but we're wrapping up. So Lorelai and Luke, like I was glad that they got to a point where they could be friends, but I don't know. I just had this animosity. Like I couldn't have, like he's a better man than me because I would cut her off. Like I don't know, but he did love her. You know what I mean? But like that's tough. Like I thought he'd move to like honestly how I thought this would end is he'd leave town. I thought he was gonna go to New Mexico with Anna and just live in was it New Mexico or Arizona? I think it was New Mexico.
Some
Yeah. So
desert
I thought
area.
he was gonna move. I thought he was gonna pack up everything and move because of like I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was season 5 when they first got together, and Taylor had this like notice of if y'all break up, then
Yeah.
somebody needs to move away. So I thought that would be the ending, and I was very, very, I don't want to say sad, but I was like, come on. When they got together at the end and kissed, I was like, come on,
Yeah, but that didn't
like
mean anything, right? Like they're not together,
they are together.
right? No.
Yeah. So
No.
I haven't. No, they are. So
Amanda?
I haven't watched the next like season or whatever. But like in all the videos you see from Scott online, like he's talking to Lorelai, like they're married, like they're together, and
Mm.
I'm assuming that's what happens in the next season or whatever from the show. But yeah, so they're married. But I mentioned this before, but I was so mad that it took them to communicate the final episode. Like this entire time, we're like
Go
communication with
to
this show
therapy.
communication, right? And then it took them to the last episode, the last minute where Lorelai's like, "Hey, I'm sorry for blah 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 blah," and then Luke's like, "Yeah, I could have done better here." Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, "This is
Where was
if this. Where was this? Like,
Hmm.
We should have
where
watched a long time
was
ago.
this?
This
We
would
could
not
have.
have been a problem
They,
beforehand.
it would if they would just communicated, they would have been married by now. Like crazy. But just to wrap up, any comments about the relationship? Did you were you happy they were together? Did you want
I was.
something different?
I was happy that they were finally together just because it's always been Luke and Lorelai for me, even though they screwed up more times. Lorelai screwed up, but it's always been like something is missing with every other relationship. And it's like, I don't know. I was happy.
That town vibe. That's probably what it was. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I was happy for Luke because Luke really, you know, I feel like
I don't believe you.
I don't know. I feel like he really like he likes her. He loved her.
Yeah.
Like no matter there's just some people that even though they're bad, they're just toxic. But you just
Mhm.
love that craziness, everything. Which I'm not saying is a good thing. I'm not promoting this, but um, I like that for him because seeing him struggle to be able to uh eventually be with her, I think that's a good thing. Like struggle victory, it's a good thing, right? But from Lorelai's perspective, I'm not I don't even know if at this point I'm just like maybe you should just be single and just focus
Yeah.
on your daughter.
Facts.
Seriously,
Yeah.
focus on
I
your
feel that.
daughter and build something that you can leave a legacy for her and something like that. In real life, if she was my friend, I would just be like, girl, I don't
Get
think
over
we're
it.
for you.
Chastity belt and move on.
Move on. But I also know that, love, I celebrate love winning in the end. So that's why I'm happy for both of them.
I would agree. I I think that seeing like seeing Chris and Lorelai together was the weirdest thing ever. And it was so weird that I was like, you know what? I don't really want them together. I want her back with Luke. As painful as it is, I like I feel like they just meshed so much better. Cheating aside, they meshed so much better than Chris and Lorelai, and I think it's just simply because they're living in the past and they're trying to create something that it's never going to work. As we saw, it really wasn't ever going to work because even though Chris was with Lorelai, he was still fighting for her tooth and nail while they were together in the end. But so yeah, I guess I'm content with the way it is now. I'm hoping that she doesn't do anything else. Who knows though. But I think like from the perspective of Luke, I think assuming that therapy just isn't an option there, uh, like I'm scared uh, of I think I would be kind of scared of anything happening that you didn't like as my person that would make you run away and be stupid again. You know what I mean? Like, cheat once, you know, what's going to happen? Is there going to be a second time? You know, I think that's kind of my thinking throughout it. Like, it's not like that relationship with Christopher is going to be totally severed. You know, that is Rory's dad, you know? So it's like, is there still like, is there going to be reconciliation with that? Is there going to be like, you know, some kind of, I don't know. I think that if I was in Luke's position, I would be kind of nervous of taking someone back in knowing what they did to me, just based on no communication. Because like, I said no to getting married right now. If it was an ultimatum and I said no to that, you said, okay, I'm gonna go sleep with my ex. And that scares the shit out of me. Excuse my French, but like that scares the crap out of me. I
Yep.
don't know. I'm not
No,
an
I
emotional with
I
that.
agree with that, Michelle. My only thought would be like based off of how they ended the show, it doesn't seem like Christopher's gonna pop back up. Now, I said that before in season 3 or 4, whatever it was, and he did. But
Yeah.
like the way that her and Chris end, she was like, I always wanted it to be you, and that's something I wrote down in my notes. So I didn't bring up, but like it seemed like she was always messing up relationships because she always wanted to work out with Christopher. She wanted to choose Christopher, but she never could. And then she saw it out as far as possible as she could, getting married and everything, and it just didn't work out. So I think that was the awakening for her to say
Mhm.
it's never going to work out with Chris. Because
Yeah.
I guess in her mind, she has a kid with Chris. It's like it just it seems like the show writers kind of ended that because she was like I wanted to be like her words were like I wanted it to be you or whatever she said, but it just wasn't. So I don't think that happened. But cheat once, you can cheat again. It could be Max Nina comes back and she
Oh,
cheats with Max. You never know. So well, cool. So
Amanda. Super cool.
Amanda, do you have to tell you want to touch on that? You want to kind of wrap a bow on Lorelai since it's your favorite character of all time.
I still love her. I don't know. I think that she's done some stupid stuff, but at the end of the day, like kind of like to your point earlier, Savon, like this is real life for them, and like no one's perfect. People mess up. She's done her best with the cards that she was dealt. Like I don't know. I feel for her, but like at the same time, annoyed me. Certain parts annoyed me, and her actions annoyed me. But I still love her. Like as a character, like she's kind of relatable. She's quirky. She likes coffee. I'm like, I could be friends with Lorelai.
How'd you like stuff?
That's the bare minimum. You
Yeah.
must.
She lives in a
No,
small town. She likes coffee. Amanda could be your friend. Um,
and then I like her sense
A
of
lot of those movie quotes,
yeah,
I don't know. There's something that like about her character that still makes me be like, she could be my friend.
I
that's
love
fair.
that.
That's fair. Well, that is our review of season 7, and so we are now done with the Gilmore Girls. Unfortunately, I have a quick question before we wrap up. Where does this show rank for you guys amongst like your favorite shows of all time?
Oh wow.
It's in the top
like
three.
on a scale for like you want to give us a
Number
scale?
1, number 2, number 3.
mean,
Like, is
1
this in your
through
top 5 shows? Like, where is this ranked?
10. Probably like not a 10, but not a like it's probably really low.
No, well, I mean, like, is this within your top 10 shows of all time? Like, you ever watched? Like, for me, Game of Thrones is always gonna be the best show I've ever seen. But Scrubs is my favorite like sitcom I've ever seen. Like, that's my and then How I Met Your Mother. Those are my top 3. So that's why I'm curious on like where this ranks for you guys, since you all have seen the show. Amanda 100,000 times. Um,
It's your number
but like
one.
for y'all, like where does this rank as amongst like is it top 5, top 10, or is it just
It
like a
might
show
be
that's
like top
just
10 for me.
yeah?
I don't know if it ranks for me,
Yeah,
honestly.
because
I think it's something nice to listen to in the background, sure, because
yeah.
like
Um,
I think it's a nice like just something, a filler for like quiet space. But I don't know if I'm like reaching for it like it's my number one. It's
Not
Yeah.
number one, but like maybe in number 9 or 10. I just like
not. Amanda's hurt.
the small town vibes. I like Lorelai's character actually, even though I am really hard on her actions. But I
Mhm.
love her sense of humor. Like she doesn't seem to like take anything serious, and I like that. So yes, I would watch the show over and over again. I still watch it. So yeah.
It's in my top, like my
We
top.
know. We know.
I would tell
We
I've
Number
know,
watched
man.
one.
so many shows over and over, and it's like this one, How I Met Your Mother, New Girl, and like Friends, and that's like
Mhm.
all I watch. But like Gilmore Girls, there's something about watching it in the fall. So like every fall, you got to watch Gilmore Girls.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
But I also think like I really gravitate towards the show because of like the mother and daughter relationship. Like me and my mom growing up were so close, like friends. Like my mom didn't parent me, not to discredit her, but she didn't really parent me like a parent. We were more like friends, like Lorelai and Rory. So I feel like I've always gravitated towards their relationship. So this show, that's why I like it so much.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was a first time viewer. I enjoyed the show. It was a fun watch. I love the fact like I like watching old stuff that I've never seen. People talk about all the time. So now I can be like, okay, I know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Like now watching all the seasons of Gilmore Girls, somebody brings it up in conversation. I'd be like, oh yeah, I watched that show. I wouldn't put it in my top 10. This is me.
Mhm.
I'm a guy. I don't relate to two suburban white women. Um, I do relate to Luke though. Luke is my guy. I forever will be a Luke stan. But it was a good show. It's worth watching. I'm sure women love the show, but I like the show as well as a guy. It's just the ending. I would have ended it differently, but that's me. I like happy endings. I'm a romantic at heart a little bit. So
Oh.
I would have loved like Luke and Lorelai's situation to have been a little bit cleaner. But
Mhm.
again, it's not Disney; it's real life. That's kind of the tagline for the show. So that's our thoughts. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in live. There's like 3 people in there right now. Nobody left a comment, so I'm not giving away any merch to y'all. But shout out to Amanda, Michelle, and Taiwo for being on this journey for me. It was a long journey. We've done so many podcasts. And I appreciate you guys. So for the last thing I'll wrap up with is for joining me. I know Michelle bought some merch.
Yes.
Amanda, Michelle, and Taiwo, I'm gonna give all y'all a coffee cup. It's a coffee and friends
Ooh.
mug. I'll
Very
text you, I'll
fancy.
text you
Yay.
guys because Amanda, Michelle, you bought the beanie, right?
I did the brown one. It's
Yes,
super
brown
cute. I was gonna wear it today, but I decided to look fancy.
one. So I'm gonna send this. I'll text you guys to get your addresses. But I'll send you guys each a coffee mug for participating so far. But um,
Woo.
yeah, but anybody that's still tuning in, please leave a comment. I want to give away some merch, but you guys aren't commenting, so it is what it is. I'm not giving away anything if you guys don't comment. So, but appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for joining me, and we are wrapped up with our Coffee and Friends Gilmore Girls edition.
Woohoo. That was
Peace.